Imagine a king so powerful that he defied empires, built monumental cities, and ruled with an iron fist. Yet, he was also a paranoid tyrant, capable of ordering the killing of his own wife, children, and even innocent babies out of fear of losing his throne. We are talking about Herod the Great, the man who tried to defy prophecy and ordered the execution of all the children in Bethlehem to prevent the birth of Jesus. His name echoes throughout history, not only for the grand works he erected, but also for the atrocities he committed. His thirst for power was insatiable, and his paranoia fatal. But what few know is that his end was as tragic and cruel as the decrees he himself issued. How did such a powerful king meet such a terrifying fate? What led Herod from the pinnacle of empire to unimaginable suffering? The answer lies in this dark story, filled with betrayal, fear, and vengeance. But before we dive into this incredible tale, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and have activated the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos packed with historical curiosities about the Roman Empire and the characters who shaped this fascinating era. The contradictory origin of Herod. What if I told you that the most powerful king of Judea had roots that many considered impure? Let's discover how this shaped his character and the early suspicions he faced. Herod was born into an Edomite family, a people forced to adopt Judaism decades earlier. Although this technically made him a Jew in the eyes of some, many Orthodox religious leaders never accepted him as a true son of Israel. This contradiction in his origins already hinted at the tensions he would later face, as prejudice came not only from the Jewish elite, but also from the common people. The region of Judea was experiencing turbulent times, with the Hasmonean dynasty collapsing due to internal disputes. This scenario opened the door for Rome to intervene, imposing agreements and transforming cities into strategic outposts. Amid this chaos, Herod's ambition and his ability to navigate the higher echelons of Roman power began to stand out. He not only understood local politics, but also demonstrated an incredible capacity to adapt to the demands of the empire. From a very young age, Herod realized that he would need strong alliances to ascend politically. His foreign origins, curiously, became an advantage in the eyes of the Romans, who saw in him a loyal and more pliable ruler for their interests. Thus began the journey of the man who, amid both love and hatred from his people, would become the Great. The rise to power. Have you ever wondered how someone from a questioned family became king? Get ready to see how Herod used the right connections at crucial moments. Judea in the 1st century BC was engulfed in political rivalries among the successors of the Hasmonean dynasty. In this context, Herod was appointed governor of Galilee, where he stood out for his relentless way of quelling revolts and maintaining order. It was this firm stance that caught the attention of Roman generals, who saw in him someone capable of pacifying the region. However, his most notable achievement occurred when he struck a pact with Mark Antony, an influential leader in Rome. The Roman Senate, on Antony's suggestion, declared Herod as king of Judea. Through a brutal military campaign, he expelled his enemies from Jerusalem and seized the city. To solidify his image as a legitimate ruler, he married Mariamne, a representative of the Hasmonean royal family, uniting his fate with one of the most respected families in the territory. Consolidating his power was no easy feat. Herod faced suspicions, even from his allies. Yet with each suppressed revolt, his authority grew. The king, who ascended the throne with Roman backing, was determined to show that he could make his own decisions and rule with an iron fist. Have you heard this intriguing detail about Herod's appointment? Leave your like now and share your thoughts in the comments so we can continue bringing you stories as impactful as this one. The alliance with Rome. What happens when a local monarch becomes a loyal ally of the greatest empire of his time? Let's discover how Rome influenced every step of Herod's life. The alliance with Rome was the pillar that sustained Herod on the throne. Backed by generals and senators, he was able to eliminate rivals and secure his borders against invaders. In return, he provided Rome with regional stability, tribute payments, and safe passage for Roman legions through strategic territories in the Middle East. Mark Antony was the great bridge linking Herod to the heart of the empire. A man of strong personality and political interest, Antony needed rulers capable of maintaining the Pax Romana in distant lands. Herod fit this role perfectly: firm, effective in administration, and willing to follow the empire's guidelines. This relationship granted the king a certain freedom to implement his own vision of governance in Judea without excessive Roman interference. On the other hand, this closeness with a foreign power only reinforced the Jewish people's distrust of Herod. Many accused him of being nothing more than a puppet of Rome. The solution he found was to invest heavily in public works and religious projects that would clearly demonstrate his supposed devotion to Judaism, even though the influence of Roman culture was evident in every stone he laid. Strategies of grand constructions. Have you ever thought about how a king could win hearts and minds through public works? Stay tuned to discover what Herod built and how these edifices reinforced his image. One of the ways Herod left his mark on history was by erecting impressive constructions. He transformed Jerusalem into a true construction site, restoring and expanding the Second Temple, later known as Herod's Temple. The walls, courtyards, and golden details captivated pilgrims from across the Jewish world and even Roman travelers. Another jewel of his engineering was Caesarea Maritima, a port city built in honor of the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus. The artificial harbor constructed there allowed for a great flow of goods, boosting commerce and the local economy. This monumental work became a symbol of Herod's dominance, demonstrating both his loyalty to Rome and his own power. Fortresses also deserve mention, such as the imposing Massacre built atop a rocky plateau. Designed to withstand prolonged sieges and provide refuge for the king and his family, it eventually became an emblematic site of Jewish resistance in later periods. Each new building, be it a palace or an amphitheater, served as propaganda for Herod's power, fueling his reputation as a great builder. Have you ever wondered how these projects shaped Herod's image before both Rome and his own people? Write your thoughts in the comments and share your ideas. Family conflict and the murder of Mariamne. After so many achievements, how did the man who built splendid cities come to destroy his own family? Get ready to learn about the darkest side of the king. Mariamne, the beautiful and charismatic wife of Herod, was chosen precisely to legitimize the king's throne before the Jewish people, as she came from the respected Hasmonean dynasty. But what started as a strategic marriage soon turned into a turbulent relationship, marked by jealousy and palace intrigues. Herod's paranoia became an increasingly severe problem. Fearing conspiracies, he began to distrust everyone around him, including Mariamne. The political pressure, court gossip, and the king's own insecurity led to a tragic outcome. Herod ordered the execution of his wife, accusing her of treason. This inhumane act not only shattered the image of a ruler who sought popular support, but also deeply affected Herod's psyche. Ancient historians report that he never emotionally recovered from Mariamne's murder, being haunted by memories and regrets until his final days. From that point on, the king plunged even deeper into extreme actions to maintain his power. The Macabre episode that shocked history. What could be more shocking than ordering the execution of one's own wife? Unfortunately, Herod outdid himself in cruelty. discover one of the darkest episodes of his reign. History records the Massacre of the Innocents as one of the greatest horrors attributed to Herod. Upon hearing rumors that a newborn king of the Jews would appear in Bethlehem, his paranoia drove him to decree the death of all boys up to 2 years old in the region. Although some scholars debate the exact scale of this massacre, the biblical account made the act world-famous. For Herod, any threat, however small, had to be eliminated before it could grow. Even though many question the event's precise magnitude, the mere fact that it is remembered with such sorrow shows the level of fear the king instilled. The mothers who lost their children became a symbol of the outcry against Herod's tyranny. This episode cemented Herod's reputation as a merciless tyrant, willing to do anything to keep his throne. It reinforced the idea that behind the grand constructions was a dark ruler whose thirst for power overshadowed any trace of human compassion. Had you heard this intriguing detail before? Leave your like now so we can continue bringing you stories as impactful as this one. The Jewish reaction and the ambiguous religiosity. How do you react to a king who funds the temple yet commits heinous acts? This paradox led to both open and silent confrontations between Herod and the religious leaders of the time. Despite being Jewish by the laws of his time, Herod was never fully accepted by the most conservative factions, such as the Pharisees and Sadducees. At times, the king sought to please them by respecting traditions and rebuilding sacred sites. At other moments, he yielded to Roman demands that shocked the people, erecting pagan temples or installing statues of foreign gods. This ambiguous stance caused scandal in the Sanhedrin, the supreme Jewish council. Many rabbis accused him of violating Mosaic law, making him a constant target of criticism. For his part, Herod feared the influence the Sanhedrin wielded over the people and even drastically reduced its membership through persecutions and executions. Thus, his reign oscillated between granting religious privileges and violent measures against prominent religious leaders. The people, confused, sometimes saw Herod as a defender of the Jewish faith because of his monumental works, and at other times as a tyrant who sold the nation's identity to appease Rome. This religious and political dilemma intensified the tension throughout the kingdom. The decline and illness of Herod. Can you imagine someone so powerful wasting away in pain? See how the king embarked on a one-way road toward a tragic end. Herod's final years were marked by terrible illnesses. Historians like Flavius Josephus mention symptoms ranging from high fevers to unbearable itching, swollen feet, and severe abdominal pain. The king, already consumed by paranoia, watched his own flesh deteriorate slowly and painfully. One of the most shocking aspects reported was the appearance of worms, indicating an advanced state of internal decay, something that would terrify anyone, especially a ruler obsessed with control and grandeur. It was as if all the cruelty he had spread throughout the kingdom came back to haunt him in his deathbed. Even while sick and fragile, Herod continued to plan new persecutions, even drafting cruel decrees. He feared that with his death, no one would mourn him, and he even planned the execution of prominent figures in Judea to ensure a collective period of mourning. But this plan never materialized. The end of the Great arrived in the form of physical pain and loneliness. Have you ever wondered how a ruler's own health can become his worst enemy? Leave your comment and let's discuss together the ironies of history. The division of the kingdom and Herod Antipas, and after the death of such a dominant king, what remains? Let's see what became of Judea after Herod's demise and who took control. With Herod's death, the kingdom was divided among his sons, an attempt by Rome to prevent any single monarch from concentrating too much power again. Herod Antipas was left responsible for Galilee and Perea. Meanwhile, Archelaus took over Judea, including Jerusalem, but his reign was short-lived as he was banished by the Romans for mismanagement. Philip, another son, governed the northern territories, enjoying a more peaceful reign. Herod Antipas, although he did not receive the title of king, is remembered in Christian tradition for his role in the trial of John the Baptist and, later in the trial of Jesus. Less violent than his father, he still displayed the same political cunning. He modernized some cities and maintained good relations with Rome, striving not to repeat past mistakes. Judea, once unified by Herod's iron hand, found itself divided into several regions with distinct rulers. Roman power became even more pronounced, indirectly managing internal conflicts and using family rivalries to maintain control. Thus, the era of the great monarch, who had transformed the region's landscape for better or for worse, came to an end. The legacy and final reflections. Do monumental constructions and violence forever define a ruler's image? It's time to reflect on the impact Herod left on history. Herod built cities, fortresses, and palaces that became symbols of his reign. His name is linked to monuments that lasted for centuries, attracting pilgrims and scholars interested in his colossal architecture. At the same time, his reign was marked by the spilled blood in his court and endless persecutions that turned him into a dark legend. On one hand, he was the Great, due to the magnitude of his works. On the other, popular and religious memory painted him as a despot who did not hesitate to eliminate innocents. This contrast makes Herod one of the most complex figures of antiquity, at times ingenious and visionary, at others cruel and vengeful. Looking back at history, it is impossible to deny Herod's influence. He shaped the political and religious landscape of Judea, leaving deep scars and grand monuments. Despite all his ambition, his lonely and painful end serves as a reminder that absolute power can, in the end, corrupt even the most feared rulers. Have you ever wondered how these monumental constructions contrast with the cruelty of his reign? If you enjoyed this journey back in time and want more fascinating stories, subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and share this video with your friends. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video about ancient Rome and its remarkable protagonists. In the end, Herod was a reflection of his time and his own choices. He sought political legitimacy at any cost, leaving behind a legacy of constructions that still amaze us today, as well as terrible acts that marred his memory. His fortresses remain in historical ruins, visited by people from around the world who learn about both the grandeur and the contradictions of this ruler. If this story made you reflect on the fine line between power and tyranny, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this content with those who love diving into ancient history. Together, we will continue exploring the most exciting narratives of the Roman Empire.